Hello and welcome to the Lou Review. I'm your host, Rosa Hart, and I have a guest today who founded her own etiquette teaching company. So this is SalliePlass of Etiquette Enrichment. Welcome and thank you for coming today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's so nice to get to talk with you.
We had a lovely lunch and got to know each other the other day, but I've been wanting to get to know you for years. I even took my kids to your etiquette class at Brendan's Catch. So you do a lot of different things with this. Tell us about Etiquette Enrichment, your business, and what are all the different facets?
Well, I like to think of etiquette as a way to build relationships. So, in other words, any way that I can help people learn how to have better relationships for themselves and to relate to other people and then other people relate to them, that's what I go after. So I teach children and I teach all ages. I've taught all the way from preschool all the way through adulthood. And I've taught a lot of businesses and colleges, lots of different organizations that have had me come that they just need some help with their relationships, actually.
What kind of, like, office relationships or like for events that they're putting on, or?
Both. All of it.
Wow.
Because usually the organizations, they have events or they're attending events. Or for individuals, I do a lot of life coaching for people who are just getting prepared for interviews or getting prepared for a new job, new position.
Wow.
And so I guess the basic goal is to help you feel comfortable with other people and for them to feel comfortable with you.
Wow, that is not what I think of when I think of etiquette.
Yes.
I think of etiquette as being, what do you do when you're in an uncomfortable situation and everybody's going to be judging you, and then if you mess up and break the table rules, then you're, I don't know, somehow embarrassed. So the way you describe it is so different, and it sounds like you have an approach that goes from one-on-one to big group sessions, and a whole lot of it does not happen at a dining room table. So
Correct.
it's really flexible.
Etiquette is not just about a lot of really rigid rules for you to memorize and to make you uncomfortable yourself and hoping that you remember to hold your fork the right way or to do the right thing at the right time. It's more about learning how to follow. There are certain social expectations in dining that are good, and I always say all rules, all etiquette was designed for a purpose. All etiquette is about something that makes your life easier or makes you more comfortable and other people to be comfortable with you. So, for instance, if I go through a dining etiquette class with you, then I'm teaching you how to be able to relate to that other person while you're having a meal. And that means if I'm worried about how I hold my fork or what do I do with my napkin or, oh no, I can't stand this food that I'm supposed to eat, or do I go ahead and start? What all the things that you're worrying about maybe during a meal when you're nervous. If you're not having to worry about those things, then you can attend to the people that you're with and better form that relationship. That's what I mean by relationship building. But also, etiquette is just about the way we treat other people and by how we respect them and how we show that. And so if I sit down and start eating right away, immediately before everyone else has been served at the table, I'm not showing respect to the rest of you at the table or maybe to the person who invited me. Little things like that. It's kind of a refresher and a reminder about being kind, about being respectful of the other people, about saying those typical words, please and thank you. Well, sometimes we forget that we should be doing that. We need little reminders. There are certain social and certain what I call protocol expectations in some career fields.
Oh.
So as you get older and as you're maybe in college or looking at your future after your higher education, there are some things that are very specific. The medical field, the legal field, the financial world, they have some very specific expectations that are expected for you to follow if you're doing business with someone.
So I'm a nurse. Let's start with the medical field. What
Yes.
would you be looking at there?
What my mind goes to first of all is that you're dealing with a lot of diversity, and you're dealing with maybe potentially a lot of people from other countries internationally,
Especially here in Louisville.
especially here in Louisville. Yes,
We're a huge hub for refugee intake, so.
Exactly. But also in the medical field, a lot of our medical personnel, they come from all over the world
Well, that's true
to
too.
treat here and to work here and to be part of our medical
I'm
facilities.
so thankful. Keep coming.
Yes, exactly.
We need that.
Exactly. We need all the knowledge and all the talent and all the benefits that we can. So those are some of the things that I'm talking about. There are very specific cultural expectations sometimes that you want, that shows that you're respectful of them, of the other person from the context that they are familiar with.
Yeah, definitely. I wish that came with our orientation.
Yes.
That would be great. We do, at where I work, we did have a class on generally being respectful of cultural differences and recognizing that they mean different things to different people. Like, they gave this example, I remember, of a scenario where a woman cooks food and brings it to her husband, and he eats first and then she eats. And to our Western sensibilities, we might be like, oh my goodness, the patriarchy, they're keeping the woman down and stuff. But the person teaching the class said that in some contexts, that is the man making sure that the food is safe to eat, because if he keels over and dies, then then the wife knows not to eat it. And so in their culture, they saw that as a way that the man was protecting his wife, which, some people might say that's condescending, but you can't find fault with everything.
It's showing care and concern.
It is.
Yes.
And so it's all about the attitude with which you approach it, and just recognizing that the same thing might mean completely different things to different people, and being aware
Yes.
that when you see somebody doing something that you don't understand, don't be offended by it right away.
Yes.
Because, if you're curious, ask them.
Yes.
But don't just assume.
That's what I mean by all etiquette rules started for a reason or a purpose. There's something behind why people do certain things. It's not just about being different or just making it more rigid, making your world more rigid. Yes. I think it's really interesting to learn about other cultures and other traditions like that. And what I always suggest to people is, I'm not the expert in all of that. And so if that's what you're going to be dealing with, or traveling or working with other nationalities, then you research it. Just Google it and find out what are some of the specifics that we need to, I need to be aware of. So sometimes I also talk to people who are getting ready for interviews. And now I'm understanding that a lot more places, businesses, organizations, even scholarship committees, grant committees, those kinds of things are being held over a meal.
Oh.
And so for a lot of people, that is intimidating.
Yeah, definitely.
So for many.
Do you think it's also intimidating because a lot of us don't sit down and have family meals anymore?
Absolutely.
And so it's not normal to just eat with other people at that table. Like you're talking about, wait until everyone's there to start eating. Well, in a restaurant, if they bring everybody's food out at the same time, then you start eating, right? And so if you were just raised only eating at a table with people at a restaurant, then that's not a rule of thumb that you necessarily ever learned.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're sitting at a dining room table in somebody's house,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
And so you may just be completely unaware due to lack of
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm. That brings me to a good subject, because in every one of my classes, every time I present anything, I pass out a handout that is from Purdue, and it was a research study that showed why having a family meal together at least 2 to 3 times a week, which doesn't sound like very much, but for some families that's hard, will help add to the success of your children. And they cited all kinds of statistics, and you're thinking, how could they measure how etiquette or how these guidelines would help your child be successful? But they did it. It's a really cool study. If you ever want to just get online and Google, and the acronym for the study was called Success.
Oh, really?
Literally, yes.
Oh, wow.
And so you can look it up. It's really interesting. But I see, so much value in that. And you know why there's value in it? And why it causes the child to be successful, or anyone in the family? It's because you're building that relationship with one another. You're talking. You're
And
looking each other in the
more
eye.
secure.
Yes, yes. And you get to know each other better. And it's not even just about how you hold your fork or what you do with your napkin, but that's integral, and it helps you to feel more comfortable if you're not making a mess, and if you're able to get the food in your mouth, and just the things that we teach our little ones even. So
yeah, that's definitely true. I prefer to go out to eat, because I tell you what, my kids don't want to eat the same thing that we're eating, and some days these days I just don't want to fight about it at all. Life's too short to fight about food.
Well, that's important, because when we're eating out, and let's face it, that's how our society is now. A lot of us don't really like to cook, or don't take the time to do it. And so when you're eating out, you need to be respectful of the wait staff, of the people, the chef, the people who've prepared the food, and even the other people, the other customers in the restaurant. So then you're kind of dealing with that etiquette, or those expectations of being kind to one another. Yeah,
which overall, it sounds like that's the main goal, is just being kind, and so everything kind of falls under that.
That's what I believe. That's what I like.
Well, you are a very kind person, Sallie.
Thank you. That's a great compliment.
Well, and so what are some classes that you teach? Do you teach any other classes regularly, like the etiquette class at Brendan's Catch 23?
I don't have scheduled classes. I customize every class that I offer for a specific purpose or a specific group. So when you contact me, then I find out what your needs are, what you're looking for, and then I base that class around what your group needs or your organization. And so sometimes I will schedule some classes and invite the public, just general. And I've done that before. I will sometimes have a special holiday class, or a special tea party for an event, or for a purpose, or for groups. Sometimes I will present a series of classes so that we have time to cover really specific things, thank you notes, and even grooming and introductions and networking and all, just different things like that. I will present a series of classes. And something that's fun that I'm about to do, I've done it before, but it's called Contemporary Cotillion.
Oh my goodness. I was just about to ask, when are we going to start talking about that?
Yes,
Come on.
Yes. So the fun part about it, I call it Contemporary Cotillion, because it's not the white gloves and the partner dancing and the very, very formal cotillion that we typically think of. It's more modern. I will teach the regular etiquette classes, but in addition, I teach dancing. And when I'm teaching dancing, it's line dances, and then the 4 basic ballroom dance steps that I think are most common. I will teach those to modern music. And then what I say is it's an introduction. I'm not a professional dancer, but I love dancing, and I know enough to know the basic steps, so that if I teach you in this contemporary cotillion, then you can go to a wedding, or you can go to a gala, or some event where there's music and dancing, and you can at least try
and participate.
Right. Yes, and not feel so scared to do that. Now, then I say, if you're really serious about it and you love it, then you go and you take professional lessons and further that. But this is more of an introduction to it. And so I've taught contemporary cotillion to children and teens before. I've actually had some parents ask me if I would do an adult one.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have thought about that. That would be fun.
Well, I'm excited about that idea. I can't wait to see the details for that. Is it published yet?
No, it is not.
Okay.
It is not. But I do have some invitations for some events that would involve some dance instruction with adults.
There we go.
So that will be fun.
It will be. I'm hoping to have one of those for you, but we're still nailing down the details. So
yes,
I can't wait to unleash that on the public.
That would be fun.
It will be. So follow my Instagram and subscribe to this podcast, and maybe you'll hear more about it.
Yes, absolutely.
So, let's see. How did you get started doing all this? Because we need to know the backstory, Miss Sallie.
Okay. Well, I was a school teacher for 20 years. Before that, I was a flight attendant. I always liked trying new things, learning new things. And actually, both careers led me to this, because there were certain expectations and protocols and things that I had to follow. In fact, when I first started teaching, there were lots of etiquette rules for teachers.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Like what?
Because I'm so old.
Oh, no.
The one that comes to me most first is that we still had to wear stockings. We had to wear hose on our legs.
The men too?
No. Just the ladies. But we were not allowed to wear slacks or pants. No, not when I first started teaching.
Come on.
So this was in Texas, which was pretty conservative, and it changed pretty soon after that. But that was one of the things, and we were not ever allowed to wear jeans. And so if your pants, your slacks had a double seam on them, it didn't matter what color they were called jeans.
What?
And so you were checked for that. But in flying as a flight attendant, those were the days when the flight attendants had very strict rules and regulations about how they would behave and what they would follow. But anyway, I was always interested in etiquette. And so in my family, it was always expected and suggested. We were not real rigid about our dining etiquette, but there were certain things that were expected. So I was always curious about it, and I didn't know a lot about really fancy restaurants. That was something we really didn't participate in a lot then.
Sure.
But as I got older and was able to do that more and invited to more things, I was curious. I wanted to know, how do I eat this crab claw, or how do I eat this shrimp?
How do I comport myself here?
Yes.
I know. I went to Jeff Ruby's and they had sliced the crab open for me. I was like, what?
Oh, nice.
I was like, okay, that intimidated me, because I was like, is there a protocol for this? And they were like, no, just scoop it out. I'm like, is there a certain way I need to scoop it out? Like, this is so fancy. It was not like going to one of those boil in a bag places where you crack everything open by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I asked the server, I was like, will you show me how you would do this?
That's
here,
perfect.
because I don't want to make a fool of myself here.
That's perfect. Most of the time they would be glad and thrilled to be able to help you and show you the easiest way and most convenient way to eat that food. But as I taught longer, then at one certain point I decided that actually maybe this would be something that I could do in retirement. And one of my daughters had come home from college, and the business department at college had provided a business dining etiquette class. And they had a meal, and they, the students were allowed to come. And that's what really gave me the idea that I could do it as a business.
That there was a demand for
A
it.
demand for it. And actually that it wasn't really being taught anymore. Yeah. When I was young, it was actually taught in school.
Oh, really?
And
was
then,
it part of like home ec
yes,
or something? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
It absolutely was. And so then also our families, generally when I was growing up, we always ate at home at night and we had a meal together. Now
when they
our
cooked
life
it,
is
that's
different.
what you had, and that's when it was ready, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And you didn't either have restaurants available, or you didn't have the money, or that wasn't part of our world.
You didn't have the frozen food. You didn't have the microwave. There was none of this like convenience factor
or delivery.
Yeah,
I love delivery.
I love delivery too.
Yes, but when I decided to make it a business, my school principal let me start practicing with my school students after school, and then I did go to get some formal training. I decided I wanted to make sure I was doing it all right, and I found a school in St. Louis called the Etiquette Institute, and traveled over there, and I became certified as a consultant. So that really helped me in the business world. I'd always been in the education world. So that was fun, and I stay in contact with them, and they have branched out. They do a lot of different things now, the Etiquette Institute. I've been doing this now for 11 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's grown, and I've been able to reach a lot of different groups and different people for different reasons.
I love what an explorer you are. And it seems like you're like me in that you like to explore by meeting new people and get to know what's inside them.
Yes.
Not just make everybody conform to one thing, but help us all connect with each other.
Yes. I like that part of it, and I think that's what I think I fight the most, to get that message across, that etiquette is not just about formal, strict rules. It really is about getting along with other people and knowing just how to be comfortable and respectful and relaxed.
Yeah.
Enjoy life.
How to not gross other people out.
Yes.
For example.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, that's an important one.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
Maybe how to look put together.
Well, and I even teach conversation skills and, what you can or can't talk about at the dinner table, or even at a party in a group. And I actually believe that part of what I teach is helpful for students with their building friendships, and even with bullying, and with some of those other issues that students have to deal with now.
That's interesting. Girl, you are just like the complete package. It's almost like you're a mom on call or something. Like, can I reserve an hour with you for you to be my mom?
Yes. Well, I am a mom of 6, and then
6?
I have 9, almost going to have 10 grandchildren.
Goodness gracious.
So I have had a lot of practice with that.
And you are just so youthful and beautiful. I just love it.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Well, it's true too. Everybody, you look at the cover photo for this episode and you'll see I'm telling the truth. So anyway, so if people want to get a hold of you to benefit from any of your multitudinous services, how can they find you?
Well, you may email me, SalliePlass@gmail.com, or if you look at my website, there's an automatic contact form on there that's real easy to sign up for, and then I will get your message immediately. So my website is just etiquetteenrichment.com.
And I'll have that in the show notes, so you can just click on it.
If you Google etiquette, I show up.
I bet you do. Well,
Yes.
you're the established
So you could
certified
find out.
expert.
Mhm. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well, if that's an interest to you.
Oh, yeah. That's where I found you initially, I think, was an ad for the Brendan Sketch
Yes,
class. So
absolutely, yes.
that's fantastic.
Sometimes I'm on TV. Sometimes you might
Yeah.
see me talking with Dawn G and other people and
She have you on there to talk about like holiday etiquette and stuff like that?
different things. I've been
Yeah.
on there several times. Talked about social media etiquette.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
talked about phone etiquette. Talked about regifting, different things.
That's handy. That's very helpful because there are some do's and don'ts with that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming today, Miss Sally. It's always
It
a
was
pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a joy to talk with you. I appreciate this.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to the Lou Review podcast. Like and subscribe this episode, and then you'll be alerted to the next one. And I'll see you then. Bye.